Hey everybody, how are you doing today? It's me, your boy, Average Rookie or Kenny, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of Rookie Rants. This is a series that I'm trying to, keep up with, in which I talk about topics and discussions that I find online or that I'm passionate about, and I give my 2 cents about them, because I feel like it, because I think I can give a good argument for or against the said topic. And today, I want to talk about a gaming console, a console that was last announced in 2013, supposed to be the current generation, apologies, and it's supposed to be competing with PS4. In case you haven't guessed it yet, it's Xbox One. And I think this is the perfect time to talk about Microsoft and Xbox and the way things have been handled on their end when it comes to gaming and the services, because they just announced Xbox Scorpio, which is their 4K resolution console. It's not supposed to replace your Xbox One. It's supposed to be an upscale version of your Xbox One. So before we get into Scorpio, because they just announced the specs for the Scorpio. We don't know how it looks. We've just seen the prototypes. We don't know how the actual console looks, and we don't know much about it other than its specs. And they're going to talk about it at the coming E3 in June. So to prepare ourselves for Xbox Scorpio, I decided, you know what? Why not take a look at how Xbox One is doing? Because if it's not supposed to replace it, that means it's supposed to work with it. And so let's get an idea of what exactly is Scorpio working with. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So announced in May 13 and then shown off in June in the following E3 and then released in November 2013 is the Xbox One. Now this console was a starting of a new generation. Passing the torch was the Xbox 360, giving Xbox One a chance to do whatever Xbox 360 did, but do it 10 times better. So in E3 when they revealed the console, it was quite a weird reveal because unlike PlayStation's conference where they showed the console, they showed what it does, they showed the games, and that was that. Xbox One opted to not just replace your gaming console, but replace everything that is attached to your TV. This included your DVD player, this included your Blu-ray discs, this included your cable TV. It was advertised and wanted to be an all-in-one box. And that's how they marketed it. They pushed it heavily. They also announced the pricing, which was like at that time $499 or $500, give or take. And it was bundled with the Kinect, which is the motion detection camera, which was really popular in the Xbox 360 days. Sarcasm, it wasn't that popular. It was a gimmick. It didn't take off the way it wanted to. People who enjoyed it. There were many people who disapproved of it because they just didn't see the point of having Kinect. But yet it was bundled with the Kinect, and it was supposed to be always online. Like if you're sharing games and stuff, you had to be connected online to have those games verified. This was all to fight off piracy. But did it work? Did it not work? We'll get into that in the later segment of the video. But yeah, it was announced to be always online. It was announced in a way to let you know that if you're not connected online for 24 hours, a lot of your features for the console will be blocked off. Like you couldn't play the game properly, you could only play it in offline mode, you couldn't cloud save, you couldn't access a few features, stuff like that. So that's how they marketed it. And if time has told us anything, it didn't work. And we'll get into that why as well. But alongside this conference, right, where they announced all this, the slither of hope that made Xbox One, seem like a viable option were all the games they announced. Now, from a list of these games, if I were to go, there were quite a few, but the ones that were like, launching with the console were Forza Horizon 2, Sunset Overdrive. They also announced, I believe, Tomb Raider and Halo Master Chief Collection, which is basically all the old Halo games bundled up so you can catch up to them if you're just entering into the Microsoft, environment. So these games, alongside a bunch of other games which they announced, they gave this console hope. They made this console feel like a viable option. They made this console feel like, this console could work. It could compete with PlayStation 4 and all the other console generations that are coming in, which is also Wii U. To be honest, it doesn't take much to beat the Wii U, unless you are a Nintendo fan, But it made Xbox One stand out was these collection of games. And alongside these games, they also announced, like the game they announced, Forza Horizon 2, it's a racing game, and Forza and Halo, alongside Gears of War, these three consoles, exclusive games, are basically what give Xbox its identity. So seeing them return to the Xbox One was a great joy, as always, knowing that we'll get to play these flagship exclusive deals. But alongside that, they gave us a few other, they gave us a glimpse of other projects such as Killer Instinct Season 2. This is a really old fighting game which they brought back. Alongside that, an indie game called Cuphead, Fable Legends, Project Spark, Quantum Break, Halo 5, Phantom Dust, Scalebound, and Crackdown 3. Now, if you know games, or if you're a fan of Xbox, you will know that these announced games, many of them are quite attractive, like Crackdown 3 and Halo 5, Scalebound, Quantum Break. All of these made the console stand out so much because they were like, oh, we're getting so many exclusives. So given all this, when you think back, Xbox One was like, you know what? It will compete with PlayStation 4. It's going to be a flagship console like its 360 counterpart where, it won that generation. So the chances were looking high. But if we know anything, time has told us that it didn't work out. And now we're going to talk about why it didn't work out. So, after their conference, PlayStation had their conference. And PlayStation shit on Xbox's conference. Why? They gave a cheaper console at $399. And the reason Xbox was more expensive was because they were bundling the Kinect in it. PlayStation was like, you know what, we're not going to sell you any gimmicky accessory with it. Here's just the console with the controller for $399. Alright, cheaper. Cheaper doesn't always mean better though, right? What else did, PlayStation do that made Xbox feel inferior? They said that you don't have to be online all the time to share games. You don't have to be connected online. You can just share the disc as it is. No cameras, no codes and everything. Nothing will be checked. You can just share the game as it is. No accessories sold, as I said earlier. And it was focusing only on games. It didn't want to replace everything in your living room. It just wanted to be a gaming console. And it succeeded in that because the exclusives it's announced after that were quite on par, if not a bit better than the Xbox's exclusives. So when all of this came out, Xbox had to change their whole marketing strategy. All-in-one console was its main go-to strategy, and that took a backseat because they realized that this is not what gamers are looking for. It's a neat concept, but it's not a concept that people are interested in. Then they also scraped the always online part because they realized that there are people who play the consoles offline, and for them it's just a huge letdown, which makes Xbox One, it doesn't even make it a choice. It doesn't even bring it into consideration that maybe those people can buy the Xbox One because it's always going to be online. Then a few days after that, they announced a Kinect free version of the Xbox One, which was slated to release after the already on the way Xbox batch. And alongside that, they also said, you know what, we're going to include a game with the bundle, to redeem themselves. And so 2013, 2014, those 2 years felt like, Xbox One might be doing it. And then the other flaws started coming out. They started canceling games, and not just any small third-party indie games. They started canceling games which were supposed to be their console sellers. They canceled Fable Legends. Now, Fable is an RPG series that's been exclusive to Xbox since the first Xbox era. And anybody who's played Fable will let you know that it is a really unique game. And so it was one of the reasons they bought Xbox. They canceled Fable Legends. No reasoning given behind that. It was a mess. But people were still hopeful. Then they canceled Scalebound. And they just canceled this last year. And Scalebound was a console exclusive that I personally bought the Xbox for because it looked so good. It was made by the creators of Bayonetta. It had the same fighting style, but you had a huge customizable dragon alongside fighting with you. They promised a 4-player co-op, a huge open world. It was supposed to be Monster Hunter meets Bayonetta meets Devil May Cry. So if you know these franchises, it was supposed to be huge. And they canceled that. Then Another console exclusive that they mentioned was Phantom Dust. Now, Phantom Dust was a whole remake reboot of a cult classic from the 90s, also by the same name. And what stings about Phantom Dust's cancellation more is that Xbox hired a small company who was like, they are well known for making DLCs for Borderlands and helping in other big projects. For them, this was their breakthrough project, like Phantom Dust on an Xbox One exclusive, giving them their own identity in the gaming industry. So Xbox paid them a $5 million grant and told them, you know what, make us this game, make it a multiplayer. And so with the $5 million budget, they set on making a real-time turn-based game, multiplayer, like a card game similar to Hearthstone or something like that. The concept is not very clear because the game never saw the light of day. It got cancelled. But the reason it got cancelled was because they started demanding more and more features, like a single player, a longer single player after the single player was implemented, and then like a whole change to the game's artwork, which they approved of, but then they wanted something else. So all of this was doable, but the company could not do it with just the budget they were given. So then they went ahead and asked for more budget, and Microsoft just shut them down. They were like, no, it's not happening, and that canceled out. And there were quite a few people actually, really looking forward to this. But after this whole debacle saw the light of day, it just hurt Xbox's credibility more. Because all these console exclusives are just being cancelled, so what's there left to play on the console that's not already available on other such platforms, But what really buried Xbox One as an option, especially for me, was when they announced crossplay. Now, the concept of crossplay. Why is crossplay so hard to say? Crossplay. Thank you. The concept of crossplay was that you buy a game on Xbox One and you can play that on your PC as well. You get a free copy. The initial plan was to have cross-playing features between Xbox One, PS4, and PC. But PS4 backed out because they realized that their only selling point is their exclusive games. And if these games are available on other platforms, it just basically doesn't make them look any more attractive. Xbox, on the other hand, because it's Microsoft, they were like, we are just expanding our market to the PC console. So for them, it was like a win-win, or so they thought. But the way I saw it was, now that I have a gaming PC, I just don't need an Xbox One. There's no reason for me to buy it. Why should I waste my money on a console when I have a gaming PC and I can just play those games on that? It just seems redundant, to be honest. And I personally felt scammed because they announced this back in 2016. And I bought my Xbox One in 2015 after the 2015 E3, where they announced all these exclusives that they said they're personally coming in only on the Xbox One. So I was hyped for games like Scalebound. I was hyped for Tomb Raider being exclusive to Xbox One, though albeit they said that it was only exclusive for a year. After that, it would go on other platforms as well. But I was okay with that. I was willing to give Xbox a chance because Scalebound was the one game I bought it for. And then I was also, willing to try Fable Legends. I was willing to give all these other games a shot, but it just never worked out. And I have this Xbox One console that's just lying here that I don't use anymore. So personally, I felt scammed, and I'm pretty sure there are other people like me who can actually, agree with me in the fact that Xbox kind of cheated on the people who just wanted a console to play exclusive games on. So I definitely felt cheated. But then one thing that I want to emphasize on is the fact that since these Xbox One exclusives came on the PC as well, Xbox's identity kind of just vanished. Like, there is no game on Xbox One right now that gives it its identity except for Sunset Overdrive. And that game is good, but it's not genre defining. And to further, elaborate on this point, I would like to bring your attention to PS4. PS4 hung on to its exclusive. It announced games like Bloodborne, Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, Final Fantasy 15, Neo, all of these games, especially Horizon that just came out a few months back. These games define PS4. It's what makes PS4, an attractive option, because these games are so good, especially Horizon. It's the most gorgeous game that I've seen as a PC owner, and many PC players as well who don't have their heads up their asses, PC Master Race bullshit, they also appreciate how beautiful Horizon looks. And that's what gave PS4 its identity. Whereas you look at Xbox, it has nothing. Xbox One has nothing except for Halo and Gears of War, but even those are available on PC now, so what's the point? There is no point. The Switch just launched, and it launched just one game, which was Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That's their first AAA game that they've launched. And that game has already garnered such great reviews, 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s. I've played the game, and it is amazing, and it's, their first console title, and it defines the console, and I'm hopeful for all the other games that are coming in. Because this game has set the bar so high and made Switch look like a contender to these consoles, Xbox One, nothing. So at the end of the day, why should one buy an Xbox One? Why should I, as a consumer, think Xbox One is a viable option for me, So to sum it up, to sum all the disadvantages, because even though I can keep going on and on about why I feel the disdain for Xbox One, I feel crossplay ruined Xbox One alongside them canceling exclusives. So all this being said, they went ahead and further announced Xbox Scorpio, which was supposed to be a contender for the PS4 Pro. So why PS4 Pro people or anybody who has a console migrate to Xbox Scorpio? And so far, the only thing they have to go on are the specs. So now I want to get into some points that I feel Xbox needs to address in order to win its base back and in order to get its footing back in the console industry. So, as I mentioned, Scorpio coming back with a bang. I'm saying bang. I'm hoping it's a bang. I'm wishing it's a bang. But so far, we know nothing. So the one thing I think that Scorpio needs to do, and the only thing I think the Scorpio needs to do, except for, jerking off about its being able to play on 4K, is games. Xbox One sorely needs more exclusive games. And so far as I can see, there are none. There's nothing that Scorpio has to show for its console. Crackdown 3 is a game that the Xbox community is hyped for, but they haven't heard anything since its launch in 2014. And now it's abundantly clear that they were holding it off for the Scorpio, and they wanted to use this game to show Scorpio's true potential. But Crackdown 3, if that's the only game they have to show for the Scorpio, and it also launches on the PC, again, you got nothing. So you need more games, and you need more exclusive games. You need to understand that if you want to be in this console war, you have to have exclusive games that are not cross-play compatible, So actually, that's the only point I have, because Xbox has the foundation of everything that can make it a good competing console. It has a great online subscription base. It has backward compatibility, which I personally cannot get behind, because I don't see people defending Xbox One with backward compatibility as a strong enough point. Because if I wanted to play old games, why would I buy a new console? But I can see the charm in that for people who have new consoles, who don't have a 360. They just directly buy an Xbox One. So for them, they get to enjoy all these great old generation games on a stronger platform. And I'm all for that, PlayStation has missed out on this, and they are finding a kind of a scummy way of addressing this by releasing reboots at actual AAA prices, which I'm not for. But I can see why people would defend Xbox on that. But that alone is not going to be enough for Scorpio. You need new games, you need more games, and you need games that are exclusive to your own console. So guys, if you've stayed this long and if you've stayed with me this long, thank you. Please let me know what you think. If you agree with my argument, if you disagree with my argument, if you think I missed out on some points, if you think that I misrepresented Xbox One on certain points, let me know in the comment section below, guys. I'm all for a discussion on this matter. And let me know if you're interested in buying the Xbox One Scorpio, or you're just not interested anymore. They've lost you. Let me know all that, guys. And yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for staying with me for so long. You can check out my podcast series Link to all that will be in the description below. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter. You can catch me on Twitch. I am streaming a lot. I want to get into the streaming game as well. I enjoy, having a live audience and enjoy streaming to that live audience. So yeah, catch me there. And once again, guys, thanks for watching. And this is me, your boy, Average Rookie, and I am out.